Helium just got back as we were going live. We are going to be ready for the second map, which is Cash between Titan and Penta. If you just joined us, the first map went to Penta Sports, which a lot of people will be surprised with, including myself. 16-12 in the end. So, Helium, the state of affairs right now is Titan have to win this map. Otherwise, Penta are going to 2-0 it, which is an amazing scenario to be in. One that I did not expect us to be in.
Yeah, definitely. Penta have shown up and gone beyond the expectations of this new roster, that's for sure. And it's not even the old veterans here for this roster. Crystal and in a sort of, in a respect, Troubly, but Tapson most definitely that has shown up and just been absolutely off the chain. And I mean, Cash and Dust 2 are maps that do have a lot of similarities. Can come down to aim battles, smaller maps, short rotations. So we'll see how that works out. Mid control also vitally important. And this was actually Penta's pick. So we'll see.
It was, and they do already have a victory in CEVO. And he walked all the way through mid, through highway, round the back of A, unnoticed. And with that pick, they're going to get the bomb plants. Unbelievable that he would manage to do that. He's looking for more frags. He needs to pull himself back and just hold on to this site for now.
Yeah, Titan were just not peeking anything. They had no information. A player able to walk up like that all the way to quad and just take you down. And RPK with a nice one-tap right there, but it is immediately traded out by Troubly. Taps now onto that highway, struts in that smoke inside of the side. It's a 4-on-2, and it's been Penta that's been solid on the retakes and pretty good on their holds as well in the post plant. And it's really just been all Penta today. They've shown up and they're on fire, and I'm actually so excited they're going to be in our second series as well, because, you know, win or lose here on map 2 in these best of 2s, the next series coming up is Penta Sports versus LGB, so we'll get to see them tested again. But already off to a great start here on Cash with that pistol round win.
I'm not sure if LGB are currently playing or watching this game, but if they're watching, they're going to be thinking, oh god, you know, these guys have shown up today. These are going to be difficult guys to beat because Penta have looked on fire. As you say, you know, Tampson's been there, but everyone's been pulling their weight. Everyone's been doing and playing their role. And now Titan are going to be force buying. We saw this on Dust 2 as well on CT side. They lost the pistol, then went for the force buy. Last time it was 3 scouts and a Deagle and a P250, if memory serves me. It wouldn't make a lot of sense on Cash, so instead it's just going to be the 1 scout on Existence who goes for a quick peek. Does get the shot onto Troubly, down to 11. But he does get the headshot back onto Existence. And that gives Penta a huge advantage moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Troubly, unless he's going to sit now onto the back lines, you know, can easily go down. I think he actually even swapped out his gun. He goes, I'm low, throws over an AK, and then that AK and Galil switch off even further. So now Crystal with Galil and Troubly with the MP7. And, I mean, they've already gone so far as to do that. Now I kind of hope they just, well, it doesn't happen. That they would have just sent Troubly first, you know, let him be that low player. Someone's going to start spraying. It's only going to take 1 bullet to bring him down, and then you've got the players there to make the trade. But it is evened up to a 3-on-3 right now. That scout has been recovered by Apex. He took some damage for it. And now only about 30 seconds on the clock. Penta are going to have to work a little bit quicker.
Looks as though they're pushing to the site where there are more CTs. There's 2 CTs on A, just the 1 on B. So they could be moving into this trap. There, Struck's first. Beautiful flashbang. Completely blinds off Maniac. And nothing that Kenny S can do about it. Or maybe I spoke too soon because he deagles down the wounded Troubly. Now that bomb's been dropped. Apex from the side. 10 seconds left. Kenny S has the bomb.
Stabby? I think Stavros, yeah. I was like, wow, like, look at the resolve on this player to watch the flank. He's trusting his teammates to move up highway as he watches the flank, but he actually just lagged out. So much for that praise.
Man, that's so unfortunate for Penta.
I still think, to be honest, Titan probably had that round.
Yeah.
Time was getting low, and that crossfire between Forklift and Kenny S with the Deagle at truck was pretty on point. But still, it's unfortunate because you never know, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. If Stabby's pushing in as well, would Kenny S be able to get the Deag off and then, you know, chime in for the second? I'm not too sure. It's a lot of maybes and ifs and buts. But what we do know is that the pauses came in because Stabby needs to reconnect, of course, and then we can get underway once again. So that was a pretty big round for Titan. And one that they were desperately hoping they could get. They've also managed to get the 2 AK-47s on their side, so that's pretty huge. They'll be able to rummage around and force buy up maybe a couple FAMASs, maybe even a Mag 7 on Cash isn't unheard of if you get a player in towards vents or potentially trying to push main.
Or even just hide in quad at A, could be an okay spot.
A lot of good spots to hide in with the Mag 7 on this map for CTs, so I'm not too sure what they'll go with, but either way, they're going to have a full mix of weaponry at their disposal.
It looks like no one quite sure what the issue is with Stavros. They're saying no voice yet. Penta saying it's going to take a while regardless. Titan saying they need a bit of a break on their end anyways. In Titan's case, it's probably like, yo, we need a timeout. We need to get things together. You know, let's... I'm not sure. Did Titan actually... Do they have a gaming house, or do they all just across the country? I'm not sure, to be honest. Oh, and that wasn't long. He's back already. But still, we remain paused. Maybe this is for Titan, or still trying to get their voice comms figured out on the side of Penta.
I think
all right, they're good.
Needs to give Stavy some money as well, because he was still alive when that round ended, right? With an AK and like a bunch of money.
Yeah, he was. And it was after time, so he didn't get his gun back.
Yeah.
Unless it is bugged, maybe, but I'm thinking it's not.
Because I think he had an AK and he had like $3,000 or $4,000.
Well, they could have asked for a match medic right there, but after all the delays we had last night, I'm almost kind of glad they just didn't bother. Although that is definitely something to consider that could very much affect Penta Sports going further. Although it's not as crucial on T-side, your economy isn't so susceptible to failure.
Yeah. But they have gone for the force buy, though. They've got an AK and some pistols with armor as well. So they're looking to push into B very, very hard. There's two players around Checkered. There's Existence with the first kill. RPK with the second. He's going in for seconds, and he gets himself it as well. Titan are smashing down Penta. Lose two players in the process, but they'll be happy enough with that force buy in effect, and now Penta will be back to another eco.
Yeah, they will indeed. And well, let's see. They've lost 2 in a row right now, so they're going to be getting decent money coming in after this round loss, and that'll put them in the 4K department on everybody, and that's enough to buy on T side. A little light on your full nades, but still not too bad. So Penta, you know, it's not the worst situation, even with Stavy losing that gun previously, and Titan now turning things around a little bit here. Should be 3 rounds in a row for them.
Yep, it certainly should be. We have seen, though, Penta Sports with those pistols, with the P250s, are able to cause havoc and mayhem, and Tabson does get the first. He gets dropped on, and now CT should be able to trade out the remainder of the terrorists. There we go, double for Kenny S from quad. Maniac pushing through mid. There are 2 players there. Trouble is the first to fall, and now it's all on Crystal. He does have the bomb, but surely that's pretty much all he's going to have this round. He's staying alive a little while longer. 87 HP left, and as you say, this is going to be the 3-1. There you go. Maniac picks up the pieces. Full house of frags. Maniac with 3, Kenny S with 2. And now Titan are moving forward comfortably.
Yeah, and it is honestly a little hard to tell at this point how the T-side for Penta is going to be. I mean, we saw a pretty dominant pistol round for them, and then probably could have had that second one if it wasn't for the unfortunate lag circumstances. But this is where we're going to actually see what they're made of. We get into round 5 right now, first full-strength round that we have seen from both teams. And Penta will just spread out. Try to get those positions down. Looks like we've got Troubley will be the man to watch that B lurk in strategies such as this. Taps in on the mid control, and the other 3 here for the team working on towards A, with Stavros or Stavy here pushing up to that squeaky door.
Pretty big round for Penta. They're going to want to take this one down and maybe force Titan to dip back into that bank once again. But full M4s with an AK for Titan. Penta Sports still keeping their options open. Strux with the bomb, looking through main. There's just smoke there, so he's not going to be able to see off a great deal. And we did see this a lot on the Dust 2 tactics as well, and I fully agree with you. I think Dust 2 and Cash are very, very similar in a number of ways. And Penta Sports typically wait until about 25, 20 seconds remaining, and then they'll fully commit to a bomb. The problem here is that CTs have control over mid by and large. That shuts down 3 extra avenues of possibility for Penta. And you can see they realise that. They need to hold mid before they start to push in. 30 seconds, they do get the first frag, but Stavy goes down almost instantaneously, and Kenny S is there with an easy headshot onto Crystal. It's just falling to pieces for Penta. How can they possibly push onto this site with 20 seconds?
I mean, it's going to be pretty tough, but it's also at this point maybe going to be a little hard to save. Don't want to die after time either. They're going to go for it, and just like that, Troubley hits a headshot onto Kenny S, evens it up, and, well, here we are doubting them, and what do? They silence us. They come in. Troubley with those 2 entries. Magnificent from him. Now Maniac creeping in through heaven. Troubley ready to intercept, and he actually will just find that 3rd one. And, I mean, qualities of a great team here, Penta. Not giving up when they're at a man disadvantage and somehow able to storm themselves on it and steal that round away. That surely should have been Titans.
It should have, and as I said, that was a pretty big round for Penta, and they have came out with 20 seconds to go. So Titan are going to be reeling from that one. They have the AWP on the hands of Kenny S, but they only have a CZ on Apex with one defuse kit for Maniac, with plenty of grenades at their disposal. Apex pushing across, gets tagged down to 49. And Penta Sports, again, I mean, I'm expecting to see this tactic pretty much every round from them, and that's just kind of hold mid, don't do a great deal, and then try and force in with, 30 or so seconds remaining.
Yeah.
Kenny S, though, with that shot.
Well, I wanted to touch on something before Trubley just, blew up in that B site last round. That mid control, when they went for it late in the round, Penta, it was tough for them because they couldn't get the player out of vents. And that goes to, they were forced up. They didn't have any Molotovs. The nades were limited. With one Molotov to the vents, they probably would have just taken that mid control away from Titan. And now we see them in a position where they had a few Molotovs. I think Tapson had one and went down. But mid control belonging to Penta, so able to get it here in round 6.
Yeah, and with that first pickup onto Tapson, who's one of the standout players, I mean, Titan will be feeling pretty good. But there's Stabby, look again, once just pushing through onto Highway, completely uncontested. And that's going to cost Maniac his life. So for the early round dominance that Titan found themselves in, now it's all Penta, 30 seconds. They pretty much telegraphed that they're pushing A, and you can see the CTs moving in. There's Kenny S from the back, just locking down with the AWP. Crystal's the last player remaining. He gets one, but that's all that he will get this round. And Titan with the 4th round. I mean, to an extent, they're giving up midway too easily, but their holds on A have been so good that maybe this is a legit tactic from Titan. Maybe they're okay with just giving up mid.
Yeah, I mean, Kenny S right now on point, 11-2 in just 6 rounds that have been played, now heading into the 7th. So almost 2 kill per round right now for Kenny S. I don't know if it even matters where you're playing on the map if you're getting that many kills. And now onto that full eco. Penta will go for a quick A split here. And it looks like they will probably just use maybe a pop flash and one smoke from A main and just go ahead and charge on out, and exactly what they'll do.
Yep, that's pretty much it. But judging from Titan's positions, this should be an absolutely comfortable hold from them. Crystal's got one. If they can get themselves another frag, it's definitely worthwhile. But it doesn't look likely. There we go. Maniac drops down, gets his 4-man. And 5-2 now for Titan. So Penta Sports have to go back to the drawing board. And they're getting mid, but they're not really doing much with it. I'd like to maybe see them push through vents a tiny bit more here, Helium, and try and exploit checkered. I don't think they've done that a great deal thus far. Maybe that's one way they can try and probe Titan and see if their defense is still up to the task.
Yeah, I agree. Haven't seen the really mid and B split going on. Just working up, getting the mid control, whether it be early or late in the round, and then trying to get up highway and push through A main. And that round was an eco, so just really trying to brute force their way onto the A site. Maybe we'll see something a little bit different here, or maybe Penta just want to kind of prove themselves, make sure that A is going to be an option for them. And Tapson as the smoke bloomed. Before the bloomed, he saw Apex peek out, and through the smoke, he was able to bring him down. And that was the only mid player, right? It was a 2-1-2 setup this round for Titan. And that's going to make A bit weaker because Kenny S is now pulled off. And mid's hard to control just by yourself. You're watching lower, you can get taken out from the boost, or vice versa.
It's odd to me as well that Apex would do that, because he's already done it once so far. You can see the wall bang through Tapson. A lot of them were connecting, didn't do a great deal of damage, but Kenny has to back away. The Molotov narrowly missing Stabby, though, with the headshot onto RPK. And this all stems from Apex getting caught in mid needlessly, and everything is crumbling. Existence
always
gets caught.
trying to make that work.
Yeah, and unfortunately he was in transition when he got picked off. Maniac's the last player, 5 players to play against. He wants to save this. There's no chance he can clutch.
Well, he loves to sit on either of those sight boxes and just try to, catch that first player off guard and then drop off. But I rarely see it work for him.
Yeah. And especially at that time as well, when players are dropping, and maybe it's not the greatest time to try and jump up, but Maniac's got one, and that's going to be all she wrote for this round. So Penta get themselves 3 on the board, and I want to see Apex, if I can say his name right.
There you go.
Apox, there you go. Pushing from mid. I want to see
like
Apex not doing that, because honestly, he keeps doing it over and over again. He keeps being spotted. The last time I saw him do it was with the CZ, so I can kind of understand the aggressive play there. But with a rifle, he just completely threw away like $4,000 or $5,000.
Yeah, they don't have an op this round, but I mean, I'm always a big fan of just put Kenny S in the A site playing quad or fence with the op. Put 2 over towards middle, maybe like sandbags in the headshot box, just kind of lock down that crossfire. But now, you know, you got your forceful round here for Titan. Money's going to be very tight after this round. And Penta already there. Trubly takes 90 damage, but he does find the kill. So,
And just a 5-7 on Maniac for Mass on Kenny S. They do have some weapons to play with and some smokes as well, but again, Penta in a great position to strike on their T side. I'm curious though if their CT side is going to be suspect again, as their Dust 2 was. That could be maybe a bit of a life at the end of the tunnel for Titan, because their CT side's been shaky as well. Flashbang's over. Maniac still, once again, up on top of Boost. He's been here a couple times, so maybe telegraphing this position. I wouldn't be expected if he gets pre-fired there. From Penta Sports with 40 seconds, they have the bomb over to A side. It looks likely that's where they're going to try and strike.
yeah, still probably one of the better positions that you can try to play with the 5-7. And with Kenny S here behind that forklift, where it can't be hard to get the shots to land through there. Strux gets him on the trade. Kenny was able to bring down Crystal. Strux finds Kenny, and Maniac does go unchecked. He's able to get actually 2. Kenny find all 3. Not quite enough in the tank. Stabby will bring him down, and now we've got ourselves Trubly. Oh, man, he got that initial kill, and now that 90 damage is going to come back to haunt him. 10 HP and a 1-on-2 with no time. There is absolutely no way he's able to do this.
And that's a round that Penta will be pretty angry at themselves over, I'm sure, because Kenny S did a great job, as you said, on Forklift of trying to detract away from Maniac's position, but no one checked it. And that's 2 5-7 frags in a position where Penta Sports, if they get that kill clean on Maniac, it's a 3-on-2, the bomb's going to get planted, and that should be 5-4 scoreline territory. Instead, it's 6-3, and they're back on eco. So Maniac played a huge pivotal role in that round, but honestly, I think Penta should have sussed that one out. They should have known what was coming.
I mean, they certainly will from this point on, right? It looks like, are they pushing Squeaky? Yeah, they are pushing it as 2. I thought they might be using the door to go back off top of that boost. That is one of the 3 ways to get up there. And, oh, Tapson trying to creep his way through that smoke, and Apex is close, just waiting for him. So already Penta lose 1 on this eco round. RPK going to take down Trubly, and this one more or less already over here as Apex grabs another. 2 kills for him. Kenny S with a quick flick onto Stabby. And that's that. Strux just, you know, getting his tan on over there in the sunroom. It looks like Kenny S will come in to clean it up. He will. Yeah. Gets it back on the cross. But Strux, I mean, at least able to kill Maniac. CT money's not great, so every kill counts at this point.
Yeah, definitely. As you say, even though they've won 2 rounds in a row before that, they run 2 rounds in a row as well, their economy's not fantastic because a lot of these rounds have gone down to the last couple players. So any kill, as you say, really does count. for Mass still on RPK, but they have a full variety of weapons at their disposal. So do Penta, they've got themselves an AWP. So Crystal, he had 5 first kills on Dust 2. I think all of them were on Kenny S. Let's see.
I think all of Kenny S's were on Crystal as well.
Yeah, it was a real battle to the death between the 2 of them. But it's pretty impressive that Crystal, a guy that a lot of people wouldn't consider to be like the best AWPer in the world, against Kenny was holding his own. You know, 5-5 is not terrible stats against Kenny S at all.
Yeah, that is for sure. And, well, you can see that kill coming into effect that we've already talked about twice now. And, you know, RPK has a FAMAS, right? Like, that's not great to have. I think a lot of the nades were maybe thrown already, so they had the nade utility on Titan. But it's 4 AKs and an op for Penta. And they've done some damage. Kenny S is low. Existence a little bit low. And let's see what can happen. It's Existence, once again, there he goes. The flashes work out this time. He's playing that position on top of that box, exposed but unexpected. Trubly, though, through the vents. And Strux, Trubly and Strux, RPK and Apex trying to get through the vents and completely denied. Existence, though, still alive and fighting back within this site. And oh my god, what a beautiful pop flash. Only the amount of bullets in the A1S really limiting Existence there. He was in a position to kill everybody. He probably could have aced if he had if there was a 50 bullet rifle, that would have been an ace.
50 bullet rifle. Slightly OP maybe.
Oh wait, there is. It's the Bison. Just buy the Bison. Yes, I know it is technically an SMG, but I think he maybe could have got it done there.
No, I love that spot though. I'm actually a B player on cash, so I might steal that from Existence. I like it. Sick. I just need that 50 round rifle. I'm good to go.
Yeah. extended clip.
God, is that you?
Yeah, maybe. It is MLG after all, right?
Well, 7-4 now. Penta, after winning that round, are pretty healthy on economy. And again, you can see at Titan, they've gone for the force buy. They have very few guns other than the AWP and the M4. Well, the FAMAS is a pretty solid rifle as well. They've got 2 pistols and only 1 defuse kit. So, again, Penta are in a really good shape here to take a few more T rounds on this half. If Titan were to lose this, they'd be back into an eco, absolutely guaranteed. So Penta, what can you do with this position? A lot of their rounds have came as a result of just pure aim for me. It's not necessarily been great strategical play, not mastermind play. It's been a case of they've rushed onto sites and they've just out-aimed Titan, really, that simple. 2 players stacked now on B for the CTs, RPK and, of course, surprise, surprise, Existence.
Yeah, we see this forceful behavior again. I mean, is this just like the French school of thought? I mean, we see Envious, you know, forcing all the time. You know, they'll do like 4 scouts deep on some rounds, MBK especially. But I don't know, maybe it's just kind of the meta that's developed, you know, within their own country, those players. This one, you know, it makes sense. Like, you still have the op and you've got FAMAS and M4, so you're trying to just pistol armor behind it, but sometimes it makes you wonder. But apparently not this round, because as I talk about this decision, they just absolutely destroy Penta, and Tapson will get a kill there onto Existence. But we know, again, money is tight, and those kills still meaningful right now. And will Penta be able to do what they did on Dust 2, right? We were in a very similar scoreline to this, and Penta was able to bring it back for, I believe, it was 8-7, right? At half?
Yep, absolutely. That's correct. It would be quite a tall order to ask from. And just going back to your point, I think a lot of that goes down to something I touched upon in the stats with Kenny S, that his team really play around him. You know, they try and give him as much of a podium as possible for which he can just unleash from. And so if he has an AWP on his hands, you better believe they're going to force buy. Because they're like, Kenny S, he can take down 3 or 4 players by himself if he's playing well. All we have to do is pick off the stragglers. So yeah, I think it's a bit of like column A and column B from what you're talking about. I think it's definitely a French thing we're seeing, but also the fact that Titan have Kenny S, who's this power player, and they want to make the most of it. It is pistol upgrade with a couple of Kevlars thrown in for Penta. They're going to be pushing down mid, but we've already seen they get mid a lot, but they don't really do anything effective with it afterwards because they just get picked off when they start to push onto sites.
Yeah. Tapson taking a bit of damage there. Down to 24. And how is he doing this game? 9-9, right? So, I mean, it's about as good as you can do. Trebly's 9-11, so a couple more deaths for him. But still, you know, not that explosive performance where they can really open it up, and they're on that kind of forceful round here. Just getting their money, one-person bot to get it down to even. But it's not enough on this round. RPK locking it down. Apex now going to push through it. RPK still alive, strafing back and through the smoke with his P2K. Will bring down Tapson, and that's 9-4. So we've got ourselves a different script. It was almost exactly the same as the first half of Dust 2, but now Titan getting out to 9 rounds. And Penta with still, I mean, only mid to high 3Ks. That is not enough for the buy that you want. They'll have to go in for AK no nades or Galil with some grenades. And that's exactly what we see in round 14. Which means this is tough, right? Titan now in a 2-for-1 situation. If they win this, Penta are forced to buy up with almost nothing in this next round. And Titan should easily get an 11-4. But they got to start here.
Definitely. The other thing as well about the script being slightly different is that Penta were on CT side last time around, and I feel their T side's a lot stronger. So that's also working against them. You know, even if they could get 7 rounds on T side, which isn't possible anymore, even if they got 6, you're feeling on CT they're really vulnerable. So this isn't looking good for the Germans at the moment, but still they've got to take it a round at a time. Got to keep trying to get and grind out those rounds. Existence has dropped, which is pretty key. He was one of the go-to players for Titan on that first map. At one point, I think he was going blow for blow with Kenny S. I think they were both around the same scoreline. So with him being dead and buried, that's good news for Penta. And they can look to push on to B. Again, it's no frills CS. They don't have fantastic strats. They're just going all on A. But look at RPK's position. He could be huge here. There's the first one. He's looking for a second. He picks that up as well. But Titans still find themselves down a player. Apex on headshot. Gets the kill. And more importantly, the bomb's been dropped. 34 seconds, and Titan could hold on to this round, or maybe not because Tapson gets the frag onto Apex.
Yeah, it gets him on the cross there. Had already thrown the Molotov into generator. Apex just expecting it. Was already trying to move back into sight and is caught down on the cross. That's another Molotov up there into heaven. That'll get in the face there, block off Kenny S's line of sight, and even do some damage to him. Which means he's in one-shot range even from this A1S that Tapson is carrying. And this is going to be a tough retake. And it's exactly what Penta need to stay relevant here in this half. And Kenny S, you see him react and flick over to it, but Strux is there first, gets that headshot. And there's an AK and op now going over to Penta to fuel the effort on this last round. And Titan, it's been tough, right? They haven't ever... I mean, okay, besides the initial 3 rounds they got in a row, it's always been 2 wins in a row, and then a break, 2, and then a break, 2, and then a break. I've almost never even seen anything like this, to be honest.
Like,
at least so clean and like sort of symmetric, but still asymmetric, but whatever. They got no money, and this round's going to be tough for Titan.
Yeah, just seeing patterns up there, almost beautiful when pressing tab. You know, 2 to 1, 2 to 1, 2 to 1, as he's saying, and 3 at the beginning. But Penta, with these weapons, are going to be trying to potentially force through mid. Now Apex is going to be pushing through. He gets the boost, but he gets spotted there. Gets the kill through the truck. He's on 2 HP though, so he has to back on away. And there you go. Drops all of his weapons. The Maniac says, there you go, son. I've done my job. Now it's your turn. And that's smart. You know, we saw something similar from before, I think, the T's, right? Where they dropped to Galil. They switched out like a Galil for an MP7 because only 2 HP, there's not much chance.
I like that you can do that now, because back in previous editions of CS, like if you had a Colt and your teammate had an AK, or I guess, you know, didn't have a Colt, and then you dropped them that gun, they wouldn't have any ammo for it because they hadn't bought the ammo back when you used to buy ammo independently and, you know, CS on the Half-Life engine. So that's something you can do now, which I think is actually way cooler.
Yeah, definitely.
Although I do miss just rolling out with 1 clip, just being a boss and saving money.
Well, true. A lot of these players wouldn't need too many clips with their accuracy.
Yeah,
Crystal
that's true.
with a lovely headshot onto Kenny S, who was on the site. So that continues from Dust 2, that rivalry. Maniac from behind, though. Interesting, a lot of Paz and Ford that goes in with the 5-7 instead. It's gone back down to a 2-on-2. Troubly looking for that frag onto existence. Finally does get it. And now it's down onto that man, Maniac. 5 seconds to play with. And the bomb hasn't been planted.
He's got to kill. Maniac only has to hide.
He's got to go for the kill. Oh,
So
he runs out of time.
They weren't quite keeping an eye on the clock. Existence playing peekaboo there in the generator alley. Bought enough time that they were focusing on killing him as opposed to getting that bomb down. And then the backstab just in the nick of time. And Maniac smart. Almost looked like he was going to peek. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be biggest blunder that I've seen in CS in a while. But no, he doesn't. He stays cool, calm, and collected behind that wall and tight. We'll get the half 10-5.
See, I'm a bit confused at that play, though, because, like, Maniac killed somebody. I can't remember who he killed, but it was in Garage. So the likelihood is that he's coming from Vents or he's going to be coming from B main, both of which are in the opposite direction to where the final Penta Sports players were looking at. They were both looking towards main and had their backs turned to those key danger areas. Once that bomb was dropped, it was pretty much Maniacs to lose because the bomb was dropped in a horrific position with, like, 10 seconds to go. I'm very surprised at that play from Penta. It was a slight lapse in concentration that ended up costing them huge.
Yeah, they were just both, I think, looking at existence. And I can't actually remember who had the bomb. I think it was the player that killed existence that had the bomb in his hand, because then he went down and the bomb went flying forward. But I don't know. Can't quite remember exactly what went down. It was still a tough position with the clock. I mean, he would have had to have planted with... There was only 5 seconds by the time they cleaned up that 1 kill. But here we go. Fresh start for Penta. And we'll get to see their CT side now. Dust 2, it wasn't as much about defending the sites for them as it was just going for those retakes and being so flawless about it. But here on Cash, I don't know. I mean, I guess like B is definitely a really hard retake on Cash, and I guess it kind of is on Dust 2 as well. But you know, we'll see how it works out for them, or maybe the defense will just be tip top.
Yeah, that's definitely also a possibility. You know, we're saying that the defense on Dust 2 was weak, but remember, this was their choice of map, and they have already won this once in the CEVO Pro League. So the stats are definitely in their favor, but Titan, of course, are a fantastic team, and if they could pick up this pistol round, you're looking even potentially 13-5 scoreline in their favor. So this is pretty huge. Penta Sports lose the first few HP, and Troubly's down to 17 right now. He's the only guy with a defuse kit. They've got a smoke and a couple grenades on Crystal and Strux respectively. Look at this from Titan. They are playing super patient right now. It looks like they're going to start to edge towards B, though, with that bomb.
That's actually maybe good news for Penta. They were heavy with their mid-B setup. They weren't even really playing A, just wanted truck looking for the retake. But here comes Maniac getting one kill there on Checker. Stabby, though, on the flank, and Silent. They don't even know. I don't know if the call-out was even there. You can only assume that probably came from Zenz. And Stabby still staying alive, and he's going to get one. Can he find the second one into existence? Existence missing so many shots right there. There he lands one. Finally brings down Stabby. 2-on-2, though. 20 seconds on the clock. Bomb in the back of the site. RPK there with it. Available to plant, and not quite doing it yet. Still trying to work some time. Still trying to get the CTs running in, maybe too aggressive. Troubly coming from Heaven with 16 HP. Spots RPK moving up to the front box. And while Troubly does have a kit, so as long as he can get down and not die on Heaven or maybe just survive, they don't need to go super quick because I'll have a 5-second defuse. But Existence, that smoke was not amazing. He is still able to peek through just a little bit. He'll find Strux, and now Troubly going to jump in. Will find that one, but RPK there from sight brings him down.
Another nice round. Another very close round as well. Right down to the wire, but Titan pick it up. And I'm going to be going for a MAC-10, a Galil, a couple of more SMGs. Our Penta Sport's going to be going for that 4. So are they going to save? It looks as though it's going to be the save. Just do a couple flashbangs. No, they've gone for the late call there for the Kevlar on a couple of players. This is interesting. So they've got 2 players who force sport and have nothing left, and then 3 who would be able to buy up next round if they get a couple kills. What do you make of that, Helium? That's a bit odd.
Yeah, it is a bit odd. It's not going to put your money in good shape, that's for sure. Maybe they're hoping if they can just get a kill or 2, maybe they can save 2 guns. You know, if you save 2 guns, then it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, true, yeah.
But that's not guaranteed, so it's definitely taking a risk here. And I'm sure, you know, even having those 2-player buy, Penta probably want to try to win this round. But might find it hard to do so as Maniac is going to bring down Crystal. But remember, it's Tabsin. Oh no, Crystal was one of the 4 guys.
Tabsin gets 2 Deagle kills there. That's huge. He's going to bring it back to a 3-on-3. Strux gets dropped. Now it's all on Tabsin and Troubly. Tabsin down to 8 HP. He's about to get shut down from the back. There we go. 3 players still alive for Titan. They will be planting that bomb. Troubly preemptively spraying on the corner with the USP. Does connect a couple shots, but he's going to get taken out for Maniac's Galil. 12-5. And that's
Maniac.
Yeah, very nicely done by him. Let's look at the economy now. So yeah, you can see they've got 2,000 on Strux, 2.7k on Tabsin because he got 2 Deagle frags.
Yeah.
Are they going to go
I
for
guess
another
there's always
force?
that too, right? When you buy down to $100, you get 2 kills. Suddenly you're right back up at 700. But I mean that's still like not great. I don't know. That seemed odd. It'll be another full save here, and I don't know. It won't affect them too much, right? You'll have 3 people buying in full on round 19, and you'll have 2 people a little short on grenades, or maybe a Famas with full nades. But that Molotov, there were actually 2 in sandbags. Oh man, Titan they called that strat out 100%, and that nade in as well to Z connector.
Probably went for, actually I think it was Tabson that went for the scout, and it was dropped across that, and Kenny S does pick it up, so that's going to be 13-5 as expected after that pistol round. Yeah, as you say, they can buy up now pretty comfortably with a couple of maybe FAMASs and full grenades. Not too sure what they're going to go for here. 3 M4s. And I'm going to go for 5 M4s. There you go. No Molotovs. Just 2 HEs. But that still should be plenty to play with for Penta Sports if you can get the opening couple frags.
Yeah, so let's see. It was Strux was one of those poor guys, and Tabson, and you can see, I mean, well, no one with any head armor. Stabby and Crystal, they were the money bags, full nades, and a kit, but still skimping on the head armor. And it doesn't matter as a CT, really. Best way to save money and cut some corners. Only thing is, Maniac's got a 4K earlier with the Galil, and that Galil is still going to have 1 kill potential without that head armor.
Yeah, that's very true. I was going to say, it's not that important against the AK, but the Galil is still dangerous. Stabby gets caught.
Stabby was using my spot. I've been thinking about that for a while. Getting up on the lights real quick behind that site, because you'll see some players just opt from on top of quad. I mean, I think even Titan likes to do it. Envious does as well here on Cash. And we see Existence in the B side too. You're just staying on top of these boxes where people are not expected to be looking. And I mean, having a height advantage or a vertical advantage, like it's really big in Counter-Strike. Like think how strong it is. Look at a map like Nuke, and you know being higher up than your opponent gives you such a good advantage, even if you are just in the open.
Yeah, it's very true because people are used to having their crosshair placed to a certain area for those quick fire headshots. So if you are slightly above or below, it can make all the difference. It's like spots on NBK where you just to the right hand side of Squeaky, you can jump on top of a little step and it puts you up just a few inches, but it can make all the difference when players come around that corner looking to spray you down, which is where Kenny S is right now. So yeah, every little helps. Tabson, last remaining player. This looks like it's going to be the 14-5, and the CT side, as expected from me, is crumbling a tiny bit for Penta. They don't seem to have much to fend off against the French at all.
Yeah, this map's definitely been a bit harder. Kind of makes you wonder what happened on Dust 2, and I think it might even be as simple as Titan just had a really crap veto phase. Like, I think they honestly kind of screwed up with their bans.
Agreed,
Probably
yeah.
didn't even really want to play Dust 2 that much, just picked it because of what was left. And they definitely aren't a Mirage team, so...
They banned, what, Train and what else was
They
it?
banned Train and Overpass, I think?
Yeah, that's it.
Which were like some of Penta's most banned maps, so it's just like a odd situation. Like, don't ban what your enemy is probably going to ban.
Yeah, I think Penta have banned Train, what, 2 or 3 times? They have no interest in playing that whatsoever.
And
so, yeah,
only like 4 teams want to play Train anyway. And then Penta was smart. They banned Titan's most picked map, which was Cobble. And then also took out Inferno, I think. But I don't know. A bit weird from the get-go. Of course, Penta, though, looked absolutely amazing over there on Dust 2. A unique game of so many retakes and terrorists losing but having good economy because of so many plants. It was cool stuff. But, you know, Cash, different story. This is what people expected. This is why people voted for Titan. Or bet on Titan, excuse me. Because they are looking dominant right here. And this is going to put them on match point with without too much trouble.
Yep, that's definitely accurate. And I think this is the Titan that people expected to see show up to Dust 2 as well. And it's why it was so shocking when Penta were really the team that was calling the shots and forcing the play. So it's going to be 10 consecutive rounds for Penta if they want to take this into overtime. Otherwise, Titan walk away with the map and bring it back to a 1-1. Look at that economy as well from Titan. They've got so much money. Like, they could lose probably 2 or 3 rounds in a row and still be quite comfortable.
Yeah, for sure. So looking for that map point just to get the series. Because again, in the best of 2 format here in the CEVO MLG Pro League, every map is a point. You win them both, you get 2. You lose them both, you get none. And if you split, going 1-1, each of you get a point. And points are so crucial here. The full-on losses hurt so much in the standings. And of course, everyone, you know, we're taking 3 teams from the Europe round robin and 3 teams from the North American round robin. So you want those points to be in the top 3. And the way I think it is now, I think the last time I looked, it was NIP, Hellraisers, and VP, I think, up in the top. Another big team, Na'Vi, not quite up there, just because they haven't really played many games yet.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll close that gap pretty quickly once they start to. The VP have been looking pretty impressive from what I've seen thus far.
Yeah.
And you can see now that Penta Sports have the 2-man advantage. 4 players, well, no, 3 actually, counting myself there, are heavy tagged up, and one of which is not going to be Tabson as he pushes down from vent, shuts down Maniac in the back, who is caught completely unawares. And Kenny, the final remaining player, is potentially looking to save this AK and get some exit frags, I should say. But, I mean, with your economy the way it is, you wouldn't necessarily blame him if he went for broke here and just tried to take some weapons away from Penta.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you got 13K on Maniac, almost, okay, a little over 9K on Existence. I won't round up that much. Almost 9K on Apex. Yeah, so, I mean, Kenny S could go crazy here. But still, not wanting to die after time, he'll just sit tight. And Penta, their economy is rough, so they probably didn't even want to hunt. They're like, we do not want to lose a gun here. Like, we don't really care. We know our kills on the Titan aren't going to be that big of a deal, especially with them only needing 1 round. So they'll have Crystal with that op, and maybe he can start to terrorize the map with that, because he's 7-18, right? He had a rough first half on Dust 2, but he absolutely turned it on in the second. And so far for Crystal, a rough 2 halves here on Cash, and that's not a good sign.
Yeah, definitely. Especially as it was their choice of map as well. And That's the issue you face when you're so far behind. You don't have to just win rounds as Penta Sports right now. You have to win them convincingly and comfortably. You know, losing 1 or 2 weapons is maybe acceptable, but if you're losing 3 or 4, that could eventually cost you big. So again, I completely agree. They didn't want to go hunting for that frag, especially on Kenny. If they lose a couple more weapons, that's huge. Look at this from Apex. Just pushes out of Squeaky, gets 2 frags in quick succession. Is now looking for a third. Tabson is next in line, and Titan should get this bomb planted in the next few moments.
Oh, 2-on-2 though, Troubly. Yeah, found Kenny S, and Penta actually got the first kill here as well. They pushed 2 aggressive into Squeaky, got that very first kill, didn't even have to trade it, which was extremely good news, but then Apex just outmaneuvered them and found 3 there on the entry. One guy straight up, he aim battled. The next 2, he just outmaneuvered, got them from behind, and Apex there with his 4th on the Crystal and the ace for Apex. Surviving with 3 HP right there and closing it out with an ace. That'll be 25 and 14, the KD for Apex. Really showing up here and again showing us that he's, you know, the second player there on Titan within the CEVO MLG Pro League that has positive kills. Or KD, I guess. Him and Kenny S, that is it. But they did look very dominant on the second map cache there, Titan.
Yeah, they look great. They looked really good. That's the team we're expecting to see. And yeah, I mean, we said as well that if Kenny S isn't performing, Apex is starting to be that player that steps up and starts to deliver for Titan and get the maps. And you just saw there that Apex was on form. You know, if we're talking a lot about Tabson, he dropped over 30 kills in that first map. Apex did a great job. He got 25, 26 kills, I think, maybe a tiny bit more. And that was a 16-6 scoreline. If you go through to the bitter end, you're expecting from those kind of stats for him to have like maybe even mid-30s for frags. So he was doing a great job for Titan.
Yeah, and Troubly, even with as rough of a game as he did have for Penta, I mean, still up on the top with 18. Crystal was down there a little bit, and Strux. I mean, just looking at the results and the way that he plays, he seems to be the support player of the team, so his kills don't really mean everything. But, well, that's that. Penta still got to be very happy with their performance to be able to get a point there from Titan, and Titan have got to be actually probably quite upset. They've got quite a few ties under their belt and losses. They're 2-2-2 going into this, which means 2 wins, 2-0, 2 ties. So that's going to be 4, 5, 6 points. And they lost 2 series straight up. So they've played more than half of their total matches and only have 6 points. I mean, I haven't really looked at exactly the standings, but Titan might be in a place where they have to win out. And maybe they don't even control their own fate at this point.
Yeah, which is never a position that you want to be in, right? You always want to be in control of your own fate, and they'll be kicking themselves because a couple of those matches they should really have won. On paper, I mean, no disrespect to Penta, they had a great dust too, but on paper, Titan would have been penciling that in as a win. They'd have been thinking, this is done, boys. We've got this in the bag. Yeah. To lose that first map, I mean, they bounced back very convincingly on Cash. That was a good performance, but man, they really let that slip on dust too. That was poor. And again, I think some of that comes down to the pick and ban phase. That was a shockingly bad ban phase for me.
It was. All right, guys. We will leave at least half of the past behind because we will not be seeing Titan again today, but Penta coming up in our next series and final one here for EU. It's going to be Penta versus LGB, and obviously we know the Penta roster is somewhat new, and of course LGB lost some of their players to the All-Star team, their, Kingwin squad, losing Rain, and they had lost Makalele prior to that. Wasn't really showing up anyways, and they brought in Miss Stern or Mystic as well as PRB. So LGB, you know, maybe a little more experience with those 5 players, but definitely not quite what they were, you know, maybe half a year ago. So I think this next series is going to be tightly contested between LGB and Penta. So make sure to stay tuned here, mlg.tv/playcevo. We'll have that series coming up next. And of course, before we go, I'm Helium. With me, Metuz. You can see our Twitters there at HeliumBrola, at MetuzTV. Make sure to give us a follow if you liked it. Let us know what you thought. And we'll be back in just a little bit, about 10 or 11 minutes, guys.